Welcome to the From the 108 podcast, starring the drunk uncles of White Sox Twitter. He's a Twitter-like whore, an Instagram thirst trap, and your grandma's guilty pleasure, Beef Loaf. A West Coast attitude in a decidedly Midwest body, My Sock Summer. And your host, he's sharing obscure music thoughts to give you time to hit the bathroom, Teresi E.
Thank you, Quarantine, and welcome to the From the 108 podcast. Get ready for some baseball, beer, and bullshit. And remember the drinking rules. If Beef Loaf says allegedly, or that he wrote a blog about that, you drink. If My Sock Summer doesn't know a player mentions his time on the West Coast, you drink. If I swear or say here's the thing, you drink. And if Josh Nelson mentions Pai Gow Poker or Yolbert Sanchez, you drink. Yes. If you tip $1.08, we'll all drink, well, except me. Also, if you tip $5, you can choose one of us to shut the fuck up for 5 minutes.
Choose me so I can drink.
Speaking of drinking, fellas, what are you drinking? Beef, what are you drinking tonight?
Red wine, boys. Red wine. I just got back from my daughter's play, and we went to Rosebud afterwards. Had a little Big ZD, and I had some red wine with it. I'm going to keep the red wine train going right now, so it's got to be red wine. I'm also backing it up, My Sock Summer, with the undisclosed Diet Cola.
Diet Cola.
Your favorite.
Yeah.
Love beautiful. Diet Cola? Diet Right? Diet, you gave it away. You gave it away.
I screwed up.
Gave it away.
No free ass.
MSS, what are you drinking, my friend?
Back. Hey, I when I was participating in the scams over at the Costco, just happened to pick up a nice big bottle of Bullet Rye. This thing is the size of my head, and as Teresi says, I have the size the size of a Rottweiler. So that is what I'm going to be drinking. The first tug that I pulled on it the other night, it was good. Loaf, I'm a little still a little
You're still high.
A little stoned. How do you drink it, Teresi? Besides,
I'm drinking tea.
Nice.
As you guys know,
you're British now.
I'm full citizen now. I'm in. As you can see, I'm in Studio B. I'm in COVID protocol still, so I'm hoping to be out of here very soon. Things are on the mend. I can pretty much talk. I'll try not to cough too much, but I'm not quite back to my drinking ways just yet. So hopefully we'll be able to rekindle that at the park very soon. But right now, it's a tea night for me, which could get exciting. You know. Thank you to those saying get well. I appreciate it.
And what about this? We gotta follow Shane's wishes. A little cheers wishing Tony gets fired, and we'll take a drink together, gentlemen.
Now, Teresi, we were talking about this at the park last night, and me and Loaf both agreed that this was a really shitty way to tell us that you're anti-vax. We didn't know. We were under the assumption that you were 100% a vax guy, and then you just this is how we found out you're anti-vax.
And then, what's up?
I am vaxxed. I'm boosted. Luckily, because man,
I thought I could say that around friends. That was okay.
I can only imagine if I wasn't with how that shit takes hold of you, man. Like I swear, I was
bad.
I woke up in the middle of the night the one night, and I was so sweaty, that I was put my hand on my face, and it was like I played 4 basketball games. I was just that much sweat. I was like Ted Stryker at the end of Airplane, and I was like, all I was doing was sleeping, you know. So I can only imagine. I don't want to even think about what that would have been like.
All of that sounds terrible. I'm glad I'm still a COVID virgin. I hope to stay that way. Hope I continue that on. We got another comment for money, and it's Brian S. He says, will this cover the rat poison we're putting in TLL's denture cream? We're going to get to that very soon. We're going to get to some of this TLR stuff very soon. It's going to be interesting. And we got a guy waiting in the wings who can't wait to scream about it as well.
Oh, man. Beef, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Probably doing his faces, right?
You know what? I'm good. And we're going to get to this later in the show, so I won't talk about it now, but I just got back from Vegas. I was hanging out there with Josh Nelson and some of his friends. I had a fucking great time. Great crew we had. It's always good to get away to Vegas. I also had a watershed moment at work. I worked a little bit from Vegas because I wanted to send off a final audit for a fund that I've been working on for a decade. So it's very rare for a guy in my spot, a controller, to see a fund from beginning to end, but I've seen it from beginning to end. And it was such a relief because my workload has been extreme for the last couple years. I'm not working hard like Teresi works hard.
And you were an extreme cover band too, which was
well, I've got the hair. I can let that hair down, baby. You'll see it. You'll love it. And so I was feeling really great. I was like, okay, this is a weight off my shoulder, and I'm on this great trip or whatever. And I come home, and I'm actually energized after Vegas, which is rare. Usually after Vegas, you're like, oh, burnt out. Like you got everyday scaries because you got to go back to work. And I was like, feeling good. Went to the office yesterday. Terrific. This morning, I'm in the bathroom. I'm like, I'm feeling really good looking, and I'm just getting cleaned up. I'm getting myself together, and I look in my ear, and I'm like, oh, a hair from my head must have fell in my ear. No, I have hair growing out of my fucking ear now. Hair growing out of your ear years old, and I'm so depressed about it. And I tried to like pull it to like, oh, this will be an easy one to pluck. No. It didn't come out. I got to get I need a ear hair trimmer. I'm at that age where I got to trim the ear hair. I'm not used to this. I felt very depressed after that.
How are I shouldn't even ask this. I shouldn't even ask this. But how are you just at this point? Like I feel like if I didn't trim my ears, I would just have big like Princess Leia things on the side of my head.
I mean, I don't want to give up too much, but you're a lot hairier than your brother, Teresi. Like
I am.
You are a hairy guy.
I'm a hairier dude. I know. I'm pretty sure I was born like one of those werewolf kids in Mexico where like their whole face is covered in hair, which I believe they have the same last name as me. I shit you not. So maybe I am one of them.
Quincy's right. We need a 108 brand ear hair trimmers.
Oh,
no
MSS is on this.
He's working on
it.
He's working on it right now. We'll get that going in a little bit. But I don't know. It just felt like I've had the nose hair coming out where it's like I don't regularly trim my nose hair. What I do is I'll get in there and I'll like rip nose hairs out. Like, and they come out, they are like fucking wires, man. I could string a guitar with my nose hairs. That's how wiry those fucking things are. But the ear hair, I was not expecting. I'm looking, and I'm like, that can't be, can it? And it is. So I've let it go for now. I'm going to let it grow a little bit because as sad as I am about it, I think I need to just see it again to make sure I really believe it before I get it out of there. So I have yet to extract. I've left it in there for now. No extraction at this point. So a little sad today, guys. I'm ready to yell about some stuff, White Sox stuff or otherwise. So let's fucking go.
Yeah. MSS, tell me where all your new hairs are growing.
Yeah,
buddy.
well, the way that those show up too, it's never like just like a little hair. It's like always like a big long. You're like, wait, how did this happen? Like I haven't paid attention to my ear in 3 months for this to grow 8 inches. Like I didn't know, but that pops up. Yeah, dude. I had a really good like banter that I was going to use for tonight. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it because something superseded that. And as you guys know, been running to the ballpark field over at Donovan Park, taking the kids to T-ball. Thursday is a rough day. We got to eat dinner like at 4:30 with all the rest of the blue hairs. And then we run over to the field and we get the little one running, and sometimes she wants to participate. Sometimes she doesn't. Today she did. She did awesome. She's running like crazy. The older one goes over and plays in the park for a little bit, but then usually her team shows up early, so she's practicing before they even have the game, which is pretty amazing. Like that's some dedication. Now, they don't do live pitch. And this is little Miss Shortstop's first year of T-ball. So like this is her first time like up there taking like cuts and like swinging a tee. She felt so comfortable tonight. She said, you know what? I'm going to take live pitches. So her coach says, hey, you want live pitches? She says, yes, give them to me. So the first 3 that he throws to her, one of them is like way over her head, and she's like trying to hit it. And you're just like, no, you're not going to hit that. She doesn't get it. So she gets on the tee and just smashes the shit out of the ball. And Dad's like, yes. And so then she runs the first and all that. Second time she comes up, she goes up, gets the live pitches again. He freaking puts one like right in her zone. Bam. She hits it. And like, I audibly yelped. I was like, woo! You know,
yes, you're one of those dads. I love it.
Well, the reason is because when you're
Then they call her out at first, and MSN beat
she
the
made
shit
it
out of the ump.
She made it.
Bullshit.
But so she's running, and like, you know, the ball's over there, and there's a possibility that they're gonna throw it, like she's gonna be out, and I was like, oh, please don't get out, because this is gonna demoralize her. She's gonna be like, well, fuck that. Why do I want to do this? So she gets there and she's on. But like, yeah, no, like I'm like, it was important for me because she did something. I didn't tell her to do it. I didn't say, hey, you should take live pitches tonight. She said, I'm going to try this. She did it, and then she succeeded doing it. And I'm like, what more can you ask for? This is all you need. And they're like, and then this is a building block for the rest of the summer. I'm like, remember, you didn't think you could hit live pitching, and then you smoked the ball. How was that? Did you like that? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, now go jump off the high board. You know, go jump in that swimming pool. Go gas in there. Go do whatever. Like, it's just going to be an endless rotation of things. Like, you thought you couldn't do it then. Now you can do it now. And she's going to be like, hell yes. And then she's going to go do it. And I'm going to be like, don't say hell yes. But yeah. Treasy, I know how you're doing, but do you have a funny anecdote maybe to tell us tonight of how you're doing?
So I have a question for you guys, because I watched some documentaries recently. So I watched the Price is Right documentary, which is pretty entertaining. But I also watched I watched the Press Your Luck one. You guys know Press Your Luck with the whammies?
Yes.
You know?
Fuck yeah, we do.
And so there was a guy who beat the game, basically. He figured out the pattern of the board, and he beat the game. And what I forgot, though, was that like the Game Show Network was the one that did the documentary. So the original game show host, Peter Tomarkin, I think his name was, hosts the documentary, right? He's narrating it. And towards the end, when they're talking about, because the guy who did this, like, he does this, and then he has like these weird get-rich-quick schemes afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's getting investigated by the SEC. He keeps all the money that he won on the game like under his bed. He gets
all
robbed,
in cash.
like all kinds of crazy stuff. But he ends up passing away. And when he's talking about him passing away, he refers to it as the big whammy. I couldn't decide if that was insanely disrespectful or perfect for the story.
Maybe that's what he would have wanted.
I'm asking you guys, do you think that was an optimal use of the big whammy, or was it a completely disrespectful?
Because the guy has history with the show, and he's so intertwined with the Press Your Luck story, I think it's 100% okay to say that he hit the big whammy and he died.
No way. It's
100%. 100%.
No way. This shit is totally disrespectful. This guy saw himself as like a savant. He's like, I'll beat this game. But then he tried to beat some other stuff, right? It wasn't like the Price is Right thing where the guy was like a total fanboy and humped the goddamn game for decades because even though he couldn't get on, this guy won Price is Right, or won the Press Your Luck, couldn't get back on there, and then he was trying to do some other stuff. So to give him the big whammy for his one big accomplishment in his life is terrible.
Right.
I mean, terrible.
I mean, he's looked at as a cheater, though, by the people that run Press Your Luck. Like,
I don't
But he
think
shouldn't
so.
be. He shouldn't be.
In the
I know, but he
documentary,
shouldn't be.
they
I
don't
agree.
look at him like that. They don't present him that way. They present him as like this. He did something very difficult, and like, and they even try and recreate it and see how hard it is to recreate.
Yeah, I watched that too. I was looking at that also.
Okay, Beef, at least you're with me. Disrespectful.
Incredibly disrespectful.
No.
My suck summer. I don't know what to say to you other than to pay some bills.
When my sucks.
Go ahead. Step all over my head, dipshit. Go ahead. No? You done? Okay. Summer is here. And with the hot weather comes fresh starts, new beginnings in motherfucking baseball. Why not show up in Lot B with a brand new Mazda CX-50? According to those experts over at Road and Track, the 2023 Mazda CX-50 is a better Subaru Outback. Say what? And why is that? Plenty of reasons, but let's just focus on a few. The mechanical substance is old school. It's not a hybrid, not all electric. It has but one conventional 12-volt battery that has the important duty of starting either of the available four-cylinder internal combustion engines, one turbocharged, one breathing and atmosphere unassisted. Curious and want to know more? Check out the all-new Mazda CX-50 on their website, www.mazdaoforlandpark.com, or maybe you're looking for something different. They have all sorts of options available down there at their lot. Give them a follow on Twitter at ZoomZoomNation, as they're known to give away tickets for Sox, and parking for Sox games. And as always, $500 off for Sox fans. Fuck up fans. Mazda of Orland Park, home of the Zoom Nation. 8910 West 159th Street, Orland Park. 708-444-3200. Zoom.
Oh yeah, they got tomorrow night. They're the sponsor of the fireworks, right?
Are they really?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Mazda of Orland Park fireworks tomorrow night. So make sure to stick around for that.
Yeah,
probably have someone drive a Mazda right through the field. Do
should
some
be the
donuts
fireworks.
in center field. Freak out
awesome.
the sod father. So fellas, tonight we have a very special guest, someone who I will be breaking down Star Wars with this weekend. We won't do that today. He's the host of Sox Machine podcast and the #1 rated by us guest on the Lawrence Holmes Show. Tonight,
Yes.
we've got our good friend Josh Nelson. Josh, what's up, buddy?
Hello. To support you, I'm also drinking tea.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow.
I appreciate it.
You steal that from Slim Mick? He's got
He's
a good
a
reserve
big
of
Twisted Tea guy.
Hey,
Yeah,
big
he loves Twisted Tea.
fan.
I love that you got right into the what are you drinking. You know the show so well. I appreciate it. Josh, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, it's been a night. It's been a day covering the Chicago White Sox. At least they give us something to talk about, right? They can be really boring and bad.
In theory, yeah.
Just winning.
Like the Kansas City Royals. Like the Royals are not very fun to talk about. The Washington Nationals are not very fun to talk about. They don't really give you a whole lot to talk about. The White Sox are not fun to talk about, but they give you a whole lot to talk about. So I guess we should take that.
So we actually had a bunch of topics lined up tonight. We're still going to get to those. We'll get to those in a minute. But before we get into those, so Josh, if for those of you who are watching Josh's show right before this, the Sox Machine podcast was live, and Josh had a lot of so choice things to say about Tony La Russa. But as you were making this thorough and sound kind of laid out solution to firing Tony La Russa, I know I was laughing. Beefloaf was laughing because we know that Teflon Han is not going to do that. That's it. That will
Frederick.
That could only hurt him, not so much help him. And so I have a question to this group, and we'll go around the room. And Josh, I'll start with you first. But what would Tony La Russa actually have to do to get fired? Well, like what does he need to do? How can he step this up so that they'll actually fire him?
From tonight's charity event, he drives, collides with another car, and is arrested for yet again another DUI. But this time it's the Chicago cops. And the Chicago cops are not Sox fans, they're Cubs fans. And he actually goes to jail.
That would definitely do it.
I thought you were going to say at the event. Like he was like driving around on
Just
the field.
drives right through the event.
Runs over Freddie Garcia, who's used to that.
Exactly. Getting hit with the cart.
Hey, Len, I'm here for my interview. Let's do this.
My Sox Summer. What's one way that he can get himself fired?
I only think there's one way he can do it, and that's sleeping with Jerry's wife.
She's
Exactly.
dead. My Sox
Exactly.
Oh
If he
my God!
exhumed her corpse and had sex with it.
Is this
They
show?
might
Is this my
fire him.
last episode on
Good
this
night,
show?
everyone.
Is this show canceled? Is this the last time we're having the 108 podcast?
Could you at least have called it the Big Whammy? You did. Beef. Let's clean this one. Clean this up.
Let me save it. I'll do something nice and wholesome for you guys because I was also thinking about the charity event tonight with that Josh was mentioning. He goes to the charity event, has maybe one or too many cocktails, hangs dong, and it's like George's remote, and that's it. Goodbye, everyone. And it's as I heard that Hawk mentioned apparently on the Red Line Radio podcast that he fired Tony, but it was not for on-field performances, for something he would never admit in public. And I wonder if Tony's a guy who gets, has a little fun and then things happen, it's like, all right, we can't have you around anymore. This is a little too much. What you're doing, what you're bringing to the party is a little more than we're expecting here. And that type of thing in front of a big charity crowd could do it.
I'm with you there. And hey, maybe he does do shit like that. I actually had one of mine is take a shit in the Toyota Tundra in Cincinnati. Like if he were to do that.
Pretty
that
soft.
could be,
It's pretty soft.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know that he could climb the scoreboard. That's the only thing. But
it's so much harder. Trust me.
First on my list is sit in the wrong dugout for at least one inning. So if he can make a full inning not being in the right dugout, I think that could be one. Josh, you have another one for me?
No, not really. I think that's it. The DUI. Another DUI is the only way that the White Sox fire Tony La Russa, even though how pathetic that sounds.
I don't think they will.
If he got another DUI, you don't think they'll fire him?
I think they would fire him. I think so.
I'm pretty sure that would be fireable.
I think it would seal his fate.
Beef, you got any more? I'm scared to go to MSS.
Yeah, what about getting in a public spat with one of the television faces of the White Sox, either Steve Stone or Jason Benetti? Jason Benetti would be even more likely that they would get him fired. Stoney potentially, but like something public, something that other people see.
Well, could it be tonight with Len and DJ? If he were to spout off at them, if they asked him a question that's a little bit too close to this game, and then he spouts off at them, that you think that could?
I think something like that could, yeah. I think at this point it's got to be an event, right? Because they're going to stick with him behind his shitty choices on the field, at least in the interim. And it's got to be something off the field. It's got to be some trigger of he's out of control. There's got to be some other narrative behind it because they're not going to do it for a baseball reason, I don't think.
But Derek Jackson, I've seen him conduct these types of shows before at Sox Fest, right?
Yeah.
Derek Jackson does not ask any tough questions at all. If anything, DJ may lend support behind Tony's thinking today and decision making. Len is a smart guy. He knows that he's there not to ask the tough journalism questions. He's going to talk about all of the other White Sox greats that Tony can actually put together coherent sentences, maybe pull out a paragraph out of his ass without looking like he needs to fall asleep. That's what's going to go down in this interview. I don't think they're going to bring up today's game at all. And if they do, Derek Jackson 100% will throw his support behind Tony La Russa because that's how DJ operates in these types of public forums.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with Bruhan Luke. Like Len and DJ could get fired in this situation. That's
more
potential.
likely they would get fired for putting La Russa in that position.
Well, this is why I was watching your show before this, Josh, and I was getting fired up, and I was enjoying what you guys were doing. And Jim is partially there for the hilarity, which I think is kind of also funny. Like he's just like wild shit happens, and I'll be part of it. He doesn't have the I'm so mad right now. But I was thinking about it. I'm not as mad at Tony as I am at Rick Hahn. And I'm mad at Rick Hahn because this is really his fault, right? He could have put his foot down at the hiring time, right? He could have said, fuck this. I'm not being a part of this. Pushed back on Jerry and said, hey, it's me or him. Out of here. And then jumped off. Now, at this point, he could still stop this. He could still get in here and be like, you know what? This isn't what should be happening. I'm going to put my foot down. But you know what? Teflon Hahn, he ain't here for that, man. He's a yes man. He's a guy who just wants to have a job. He wants to be GM guy. He doesn't, like you talked about, it's his legacy. He don't care about his legacy. He's trying to cash checks, man. And he's got the whole media behind him, supporting him the whole way through all these shitty-ass decisions. And now, people are starting to wake up and it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe he's not doing that great of a job, even though it's been abundantly clear to a big chunk of the fan base for a long time. So I'm more mad at him because he's had the chance to stop this, had the chance to raise his hand, someone in the organization say, this is fucking ridiculous. And I hope that tonight he's calling Kenny Williams because he needs Kenny. Kenny's his muscle. That's the only way he can get some shit done, right? He can help. He's calling Kenny and saying, Kenny, we need to take this down. We gotta get with Jerry and take this fucking thing down. That's the only way it's going to happen. I'm way more mad at Rick Hahn tonight than I am at Tony. I was expecting Tony to do something goofy, right? Not walk a guy on 1 and 2. I mean, that's really goofy. Like I was at dinner when that shit was going down. I'm like, what the hell? Like, and I had to come home and like actually physically watch the video with my eyes. It's like, I can't believe this fucking shit happened. And then the explanation afterwards was bananas. It was like, there's no way anything you're saying right here is even close to legitimate, right? Like, what, did you dream this or something? Like, so I like, to me, it's time. I'm so pissed at Rick Hahn right now.
I'm with you. Beef, you messaged me during the game. I was in a meeting, and you said, "Hey, did Tony walk someone with 2 strikes?" And I just thought to myself, "No way, no, you heard something wrong. There's no way that happened." But yes, that's what happened.
I just wonder if him standing up and saying, like, and we said this when the hire went down, and we said, if this is not his guy, he should have been like, you know what? All right, cool. Like, I know I helped do this, but I'm not behind this. I can't support this. I'm done. Does that just X him out for baseball for the rest of his like life career? Like, is he gone then if he turns against his owner and isn't going to just
no. Mostly his poor results would do that to him. I don't think it's like stepping up against, because other people in baseball could see this as ridiculous, right? And going along for the ride, I think would be more damaging, right? If you stick with some shit that is some bullshit and put your name on it, that's worse for your reputation, I would think. I would think like, oh, you were the yes man who went along with this crappy decision right here that rode this good core down into the ground. Like, I think that would be worse. Like, any organization's like, we're not hiring that guy. Look at what he let go on, like.
Because if you're if you're looking for a yes man to run your organization, right? Like if you're saying like, I want a GM, but he's just going to be a figurehead for me, you groom someone from inside. Right, like you bring someone up through the ranks,
nepotism hire or something, right?
Right, exactly. So like a Roger Goodell style, where it's like his first job out of college is just like this is who he's going to be.
Right.
You do that, and so if you're actually looking for a GM, you're not going to look at this and go like, well, this looks like a guy who knows to run an org.
Exactly what I want.
They've got every podcast that talks about the Sox tonight going on and going, yeah, everyone knows that this guy should get fired, but the Rick Hahn won't do it. Like,
or can't do it.
Or is not allowed to do it.
I would say if you're not allowed to do it, even worse. Like, the guy has no hand either. The guy has never established hand that he could do this. Like, that's kind of even worse. Like, I don't want that guy running my thing. What is he going to do? Like, and the results also following it don't help. I mean, there's no, what it is? At this point, he's got to ride it out. That's it.
This is a critical point, though, of his legacy as White Sox GM, because the team that he helped build is 3 games below 500. As we are currently streaming, the Minnesota Twins are up 7-5 over the New York Yankees in the 5th inning. If the Twins can hold on, they're going to win that home series against the New York Yankees. The White Sox will be 6 games back of the Minnesota Twins for first place in the American League Central. And because of how well the Boston Red Sox have been played, the White Sox are now 3 games back of the 6th seed in the American League postseason. It's not early anymore. There needs to be some type of sense of urgency displayed by the Chicago White Sox. And if you have a manager who was combative and very defensive and clearly in the wrong with the decision-making that he made on a critical decision that ultimately did impact the outcome of the game, because it was a 3-run homer that was given up and your team lost by 2 runs. And before that, we could have had like a 15-minute conversation about Lurie Garcia batting leadoff again for the Chicago White Sox. For those that did watch Sox Machine live, the short version of it is that I don't think he's doing a good job with player personnel. I don't think he's doing a good job with in-game decision-making. And I question the baseball acumen. And if Rick Hahn cannot convince Jerry Reinsdorf that the time is now and that you should allow me to be the executive vice president of baseball operations and do my job, well, that time's never coming. It's never coming for Rick Hahn. So I view this as a really, really critical moment of Rick Hahn's tenure with the Chicago White Sox. He hates this as far as his underlying story that he's never, ever been in a position of power with the Chicago White Sox to have the final say on anything that happens within baseball operations. If he does have that power, he needs to flex that power tonight. He needs to fire Tony La Russa. And as people wake up in the morning, that's the breaking news that the Chicago White Sox have fired Tony La Russa. And they followed suit of what Philadelphia and Anaheim did in firing a World Series winning manager and moving on. Because you do have the easiest schedule for the remaining 107 games left to go in this season. Yeah, we don't know what Miguel Cairo does today. Joe McEwing has some experience in managing when Rick Renteria got ejected or he had to go to graduations and such. And McEwing has filled in from time to time.
Man.
But it is an easier schedule. You could give an interim manager a shot. This team needs a shot in the arm. But if Rick Hahn doesn't make any move and the White Sox are going to continue to stay with Tony La Russa, he's a hurdle. He's not an asset. And if Hahn doesn't have the power to let La Russa go, well, then he really doesn't have the power to make any significant moves to improve the roster. And I don't know how anyone can have confidence or faith in Rick Hahn that he's the guy that should be building this roster and leading the organization. I just don't see it. I would have a lot more respect for Rick Hahn if he made the firing tonight and flexed his muscles and say, I'm the vice president of baseball operations. I run baseball operations. This is my decision. This is where we're going.
Man, I love it. And
fire him right in the middle of the charity event.
And I'll be honest with you.
Cancel the interview.
No.
Say, we're
that's
not
no
doing
fun,
this.
Josh. That's
put
what a well
the hook out there
organized
to get him out of there, right? I agree, Josh, 100%. And I've been so critical of Rick Hahn, but if he did that tonight and we woke up tomorrow morning to that news, I'd be fully behind him. I would say, okay, let's go. I'm going to give you another chance. Let's go. Let's do this thing right here. You know what? And I'd be equally behind him if he said, fuck this, and walked away from it tomorrow as well. Like, you don't give me the power to do this, I'm out. I'm going to go take a vacation. I'm going to enjoy myself. I built this good core, which I still think it's a good core, even though they're underperforming right now. And you're not allowing me to do this, I'm out of here. I would respect the hell out of him in either decision.
And to follow up on that, recently he's made it known on how frustrated he gets during games. And he throws things at the TV. He takes long walks. None of those things matter. Like if you're sharing that, hey, I'm just like you White Sox fans. I'm frustrated in how we're playing. Well, damn it, dude. You run the baseball team.
Right.
We don't. We're the
You're not a
big
fan,
customers.
bro.
We're the content creators. We're the ones that follow you every single day. You're the one that's in charge. And if you're telling me that you're getting angry, but I can't do anything about it, holy crap, we got the most classic middle manager that's running the Chicago White Sox, has no power at all. His boss, Kenny Williams, has 1 foot out the door because he's already made it known as soon as his contract expires, he's retired. And Jerry Reinsdorf's barely alive. This is who's running the Chicago White Sox, that they want to have World Series aspirations? Are you kidding me? Like, if this comes to light, then how does anyone that puts the White Sox uniform on in that clubhouse have any confidence that this thing's going to turn around?
Right. Yeah, you
Good night, folks. That was a good show. We'll see you later. We're out. Peace.
You know, Josh, you said something in there that I want to touch on, which is, you know, you were talking about Cairo, you're talking about McEwing, and then you mentioned that Tony is no longer an asset. He's a hurdle. Mm-hmm. And when you think about it this way, it's even more damning is if you were to take Miguel Cairo or you were to take Joe McEwing and you say, look, guys, all I want you to do is the most obvious thing. Just every time there's a decision to be made, just make the most obvious decision. What a guy sitting in the park who watches a bit of baseball would know is the right thing to do here. And if they just did that, the team would be better. Yeah. That's not good. Mm-mm. That's not good that's your bar, right? And that's where we're at right now, right? I mean, like the obvious thing to do earlier today was continue to pitch someone that you have down in the count. Like that's, and then the team is immediately the situation is better just doing the obvious thing. And so, you know, Beef, you had talked about fancy play syndrome previously on the podcast. And it's more of that, right? It's more of like, I'm a genius. I'm going to do this. You don't understand what I'm doing.
Right.
And you're not. You're a guy with a system for roulette, right? Your system is lose all your money.
Well, the bad part, Treasy, is that he may have been kind of a genius in his former life, but everyone goes with the, well, he's a Hall of Fame manager. I can forget it. Guess what, fellas? In 1996, I could dunk a basketball. I cannot do that anymore, okay? That happens. We regress as human beings. We lose some of our skills at stuff, and the skill regression is becoming more and more obvious. And even like talking to people who are Tony guys. Now, I want to say they love Tony or anything. They're more on the Tony side, like Tony's fine or whatever. Even they're kind of like scratching their head at some of these decisions. So you sort of see like it's less about the, like when he was hired, you had the two groups of people. And I was about to write a blog a couple weeks ago, like no one's moved their position. No one's changed their priors. I think people are changing their priors right now. I think people who are on the like leaning Tony side are leaning back the other way and saying, wow, this looks ugly. We don't want to see this no more.
Yeah. I also, you guys talked about all the different coaches. I wouldn't be opposed to giving Ethan Katz a shot at just being the head coach, being the big guy. He obviously knows what he's doing with the pitching and has shown something. Like he's like, hey, look, I can do things, guys. Like we're at a point where like I just need to see that some life, like in some good critical thinking. And maybe like, hey, I'm not going to do what you told me I should do. I'm going to try this and see if it works, with like a Carlos Rodon, or like even a Michael Kopech, like just coming out the gate, like just I think Katz maybe. Let's even try.
I'm in on that. I like the idea, right? Like of like, hey, this is a young guy who is obviously this is eventually what he probably wants to be, or not. But I mean that would be my guess. But
right.
I'm in as long as I don't find out that he's been the one making all the bullpen decisions. Because then, if he's been in charge of that, I'm going to take a step back and get back to let's make the most obvious decisions, guys.
That's all right.
All right.
The comment section is on fire.
It is absolutely on fire. I've been reticent to put them up because
forever.
they're so funny. There's a lot of funny stuff in the comment. My apologies for not getting as many of them up as I should have because we were riffing there. But the comment section is absolutely fucking killing right now.
To follow up my Sox summer about Ethan Katz, if let's say the White Sox do the very surprising thing and they fire Tony La Russa tonight, I think Ethan would have so much responsibility to take half the team, and that half the team being the pitching staff, that would be his job. Like kind of football, like you have like a defensive-minded coach and the offensive coordinator runs everything to do with the offense. Yes. Ethan Katz would have to run everything with the pitching staff. And the offense, because the offense is in such disarray right now, and there's like no chance Frank Menachino is coming back next season to be the hitting coach, that whoever would have to step in would have to focus all of their attention on how to score more runs, because that's what's going to turn this season around and get the team back into the postseason. So they have to spend more of their effort on that and just ask Ethan Katz, hey, can you make sure that we're not going to be incompetent on the pitching side? And Katz would definitely do that. So I think it would be a lot to ask for Katz to move over to a manager spot and then he make a lineup to try to generate run support. I think it'd be best if he just stayed as pitching coach the rest of the season. But again, if you fire Tony La Russa during the season, I'm assuming you're going to have another managerial search for the 2023 season. Maybe Ethan Katz gets an opportunity to interview for that position if it is something that he's interested in.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the last thing we'll say on this is that I had also that if he physically assaulted Southpaw, he would get fired.
Southpaw whooped that ass. He would whoop that ass.
One real quick thing before we get to the next topic is if we wake up tomorrow morning and only Frank Menachino has been fired, I'm going to be absolutely livid.
That would be ridiculous.
Like, I'll be so pissed if Frank Menachino gets fired for this for what happened today.
Tony, you and your decision making, I'm tired of it. Frank, you're gone.
Josh, I haven't talked about this with you because you weren't at the game last night, but Loaf, I just briefly said to
Is
him
this
real
the
quick.
game where you were high?
Yes, that was yesterday. Yeah.
Extremely high. I was
I might
extremely
be
high.
a little bit still high. I've been floating through the day today. It's been okay though. I have
Wonderful.
enjoyed my day. I've been very happy. So whatever I did, maybe I need to do it again. I'll just be happy every day. When people were responding to the tweet that I said what was working 3 games ago and now what's not, or what worked, what changed from the previous week to this last week where they won 3 in a row. No one ever said, hey, they just started listening to Frank Menachino and they started hitting, but now that they're not hitting, they're like, Frank Menachino sucks, like he's horrible. Everyone responded with, they're finally hitting. They're finally hitting balls. They're finally making good plays. They're doing this. They're doing that. No one is ever saying, well, the coaches finally got it right and got right down to the issue with that player and they fixed it. No, but when it comes to the fact that when they're not doing it and they're hurt, they're just like, oh, well, it's the coach. The coach isn't getting to him. It's the coach's job to make him hit. No.
Okay, so I'm going to shut you down. I'm going to shut you down.
Yeah, here it comes.
Bring it.
Game 1 that they won, the first game, Jake Berger is a big reason why they won that game with the pinch hit home run. The second game, Ryan Yarborough, who has now been optioned to AAA, was pitching so poorly as a lefty, which is a dangerous combination facing a White Sox lineup, that, he allowed 6 runs in the first 2 innings, and then the Rays went to right-handed relievers, and ta-da, the White Sox can't hit. And then on Tuesday, it's a scoreless game after they had the bases loaded with 1 out and couldn't score a goddamn run. Thanks to Dave Roberts and his in-game decision-making to put a shift against Jose Abreu, which never makes sense, and Abreu beat it. Then he brings in David Price to face Gavin Sheets, not understanding that Tony La Russa has right-handed batters in the bench. So La Russa, there you go. That's a prop. A good managerial decision brings in A.J. Pollock, and then Pollock hits a 2-run double. Michael Kopech was outstanding, and the bullpen holds up. That's why they won those 3 games.
Yep.
There's nothing that I could really point. The only thing that I could point at Frank Menachino that would save his job is all of a sudden this team, as a team, has an 8% plus walk rate. They slug better than 400, and they have a team on base percentage above 320 for the remaining 100 games of the season. If they don't do that, he should be fired because whatever he is saying to the players is not coming through. There is some type of disconnect between coach and player that the players are tuning him out. So you need to go get another voice. And it may be unfair to Frank Menachino because he might be doing all the right things, but for whatever reason, they stopped listening to him this season because there isn't a collective game plan from this White Sox offense, and it keeps showing its head. So that's the difference between, hey, the White Sox won 3 games in a row, and they beat good teams doing so. I listed the reasons why they won those games to, well, what the hell has happened the last 2 games? Well, Johnny Cueto unfortunately gave up a couple of home runs. The White Sox offense can't hit right-handed pitching for shit. Hey, they face a lefty. They score some runs. They're winning. And then Dylan Cease and the defense has an implosion mid-game. Tony La Russa makes a dumbass decision. And somehow they have a chance to tie the game or take the lead in the bottom of the 9th inning. But you got to pinch hit Gavin Sheets for whatever fuck reason. And the White Sox lose that game. That's the White Sox. This week has encompassed 2022 White Sox baseball better than any week of the season.
Josh, someone tagged you and I and said this is the entire Jake Berger experience, the game today,
that
with the
is
error
100% true.
And then he hits the home run like the next inning. It's like, because we were just talking about how fucking volatile he is, and it's like that's why you got to have him in the lineup. It's like you saw both sides of the volatility. You saw the downside, you saw the upside in both shots. One quick question from the comments for Josh Nelson. It's from Sam Davis. He wants to know what's worse, La Russa or the Starbucks on 31st Street?
Tony La Russa is the Starbucks on 31st and Halstead of Major League Baseball management.
Beautiful.
So the answer is yes, get rid of both of them. But to make matters worse, oh my God. To make matters worse, they're building a freaking Dunkin' Donuts now across the street in Halstead.
Isn't there already one?
No, there's one there,
yes,
but
they're gonna move out of that location in the mini mall. And they're going to have a brand new location across the street from Starbucks.
But where, though?
Fantastic. How about we just blow up the sidewalk and have a 6-lane freaking road in Halstead between 31st and 35th
Man.
because half the lanes are just going to be a freaking coffee drive-through lane.
I love that Josh originally was like, we need more drive-throughs on Halstead, like in Bridgeport. We need more drive-throughs. And he's been here for like 2 years, and he's like, fucking drive-throughs suck. Stop building drive-throughs.
You're twisting my words.
It.
I said Bridgeport needs more drive-throughs. They don't need to be stacked up on top of each other at 31st
That's
and
Bridgeport.
Halstead.
That's all Bridgeport, Josh. You've been here long enough. That's all
Dead
Bridgeport
center.
is Halstead.
Dead center, Bridgeport.
This is
Yeah.
what
All right.
happens when your alderman is going to prison. There's no one running this damn part of the town
You know what?
anymore.
Let me tell you something.
This-
Shane Reardon was in the comments saying we should not talk about Rick Hahn. Fuck that. We'll talk about Rick Hahn, but PDT, let's take it easy. All right.
Yeah,
we don't want to get whacked out for this podcast.
In this podcast
That's right.
whatsoever.
We love the dailies. All right.
Love
We
the
love the dailies, man. We're Bridgeporters.
Yep, the Thompsons too.
That's right. Everyone.
All y'all.
I'm still in that ward. I gotta keep quiet.
Oh yeah, that's right.
For
You're
now.
leaving us.
For now,
you're not-
I'm leaving the
You're
ward.
leaving us.
Not. I'm actually not moving. I'm just being gerrymandered back out.
Gerrymandered. Yeah. Gerrymandering. That's Chicago way. That's right.
It seems very.
So, before we get into some more White Sox talk, there was a question that I want to ask for MSS since he's still a little bit high, and since I was watching the Sox Machine podcast just before this. MSS, when we kill ants on the ground, ants, not aunts, ants.
Okay.
Do ants go to heaven or hell? Josh thinks they
man.
go to hell.
No, you know what? If you follow the Lord's teaching, hard work gets you right into heaven, and ants work harder than anything I've ever seen. Ants are probably going to heaven. Yeah, they're
Ants
just,
in heaven, Josh.
they're
in
hustlers,
your
bro.
face.
they're
In your
hustlers.
face. All right.
What about fire ants?
Fire ants suck ass, but they probably still hard. They're probably still hard workers though, and hardworking. Apparently, there's probably a lot of assholes in heaven too, Josh. I mean, to be honest, if you believe it.
Assholes in heaven. The
The
108
priests are
story.
happy.
All right, so let's
I'm
talk
getting
about
canned
something.
for the night by the white folk.
We alluded to this past week in White Sox baseball and the roller coaster that it has been, and one of the things Josh mentioned was the performance of one Michael Kopech earlier this week, and it was just fantastic. I mean, just like the guy was out of his mind, looked great. I think everyone feels really good about it. And the question to you guys, oh my God, the question to you guys is Michael Kopech the ace of this staff? And Beef, I'll start with you.
100% he is, and I've said it on a couple playbacks. We've had a chance to catch Michael Kopech. We caught him in the against the New York Yankees the Sunday night broadcast, and we were talking about him a little bit. Like, in my opinion, he's the guy I would put in game 1 or game 2. I would probably put him. I'd be willing to put him in game 1 if it lined up, because he's the guy who has to put away stuff, especially against these tough teams, tough offenses. And he also seems to get up for these games. I don't know if that's just a narrative at this point because we don't have a big sample size of him doing it, but it seems like against a tough offense, he seems to thrive on getting in those situations. I remember the three of us, Treasy and Josh, we had a discussion during the one game just talking about the differences between him and Dylan Cease, how he seems to attack. That's kind of his mode. And Dylan Cease was a little finer kind of early on in his career, and even still is sometimes. Like he'll try to get a little too fine, even though he has terrific stuff. Yeah, I mean, Kopech has rung the bell in those big games on the big stages. And for me, yes, he is the ace, and he's the one performing the best out of starting pitchers. The guys getting all the hype, Giolito and Cease are the guys that tend to get the hype. They're going for AL Cy Young. But by OPS plus, I mean, Michael Kopech is the best one by a mile. He's much better than these guys so far this season. And so, yeah, for my liking, I mean, Michael Kopech is the ace of the White Sox staff.
All right. My Sox Summer, where are you at with this?
I'm just congratulating myself because I was the only one that said he's going to get 10 wins this year. And I believed in him from the start. I said, this guy's going to come out and he's going to breathe fire, and he has. Thank you for letting me speak first, because Josh is going to be like, I'm not going to be surprised to see him in the All-Star game, because he said that with everybody, like Dylan Cease, and he fucking goddamn jinxed him. You son of a bitch, Josh. But it's just like he's gonna say it, and I don't want him to say it because I don't want you to ruin my beautiful baby boy Michael Kopech out there. The guy is fire. He is what we thought he could be. He has come with what so far has come with what is expected, and he has not people were worried that he was going to start like shutting down. He's going to start hurting. He's like, I can't do. No, that guy's powering through all that shit. You know, it's like when I miss like 2 days at the gym, it's like that day I finally get back, I got all this extra energy, and I'm like, I'm going to go crazy. And he is living that right now, and probably doesn't have a sore back the next day. So go, Mike.
How about you, Josh? Where are you at with this?
I agree that I think in the postseason, if the White Sox make it, I think it would be smart to have him start game one because of that success that he's had against the Yankees and the Dodgers. If you just take the highlights from these two games, and you would be sold on, Michael Kopech could be a premier starter. I think there is a disagreement, though, between the White Sox and us. I still think that the White Sox would want Lucas Giolito to be that ace of the staff, that they would go with Giolito start game one, maybe Lance Lynn start game two, Cease game three, and Kopech game four, because that's like the White Sox preference right now, because I still view them babying Michael Kopech. And we talked about this in the playback, and for those that would love to be part of these conversations, you can join us every Tuesday as we have these watch parties, because I think we have really good conversations during these games. And, I remember that conversation we had, Beefloaf and Chirizi, regarding Kopech. The White Sox just need to trust him more. Like, he's physically in the prime of his life, period. Like, he's mid-20s. He is a gym rat. He is physically fit. Trust him. Right now.
Kopech or My Sox Summer? Okay.
Kopech's getting there, man. My Sox Summer's getting there. In 10 starts this year, he only
said it right the first time, Josh. He's getting there. I'm already there. I have plateaued. I am right there. I am the gym rat guy. Mike wants to be like me. I get it.
Yeah. That's fair. In his first 10 starts of 2022, Michael Kopech only has 51 innings pitched. I think in his next 10 starts, I like him to cover 60 innings. And I want the White Sox to trust him more, that he can face a lineup a third time through the order, and he can throw 100 pitches every fifth day. I don't want them to do what they did at Toronto, where they gave him like 10 days off. And he was clearly out of rhythm, and it got blown up. And he had a bad start, and the White Sox lose that game. The White Sox can't afford to lose any more games. And if they're going to make the postseason this year, they're going to need Kopech. And I think they got to trust him more. So while we could say collectively as a unit, I believe Michael Kopech is the ace of the staff in June, I need the White Sox to show that type of same faith as well, because he keeps performing and they should trust him more. And I don't want the White Sox to give him any more days off. Just let him pitch every fifth day. Let him build up a rhythm and a process to take that ball every fifth day, because you're going to need him to do that as long as he's donning the White Sox uniform.
So I'm going to disagree with all three of you just a little bit.
Here we go.
And it's not so much that I don't like Michael Kopech, because I think he's fantastic. And as you mentioned on the playback, I was adamant about the fact that they need to start treating him like a starter and start playing him every fifth day. But they haven't yet. So they haven't really given him a chance to be the ace. But the other thing about it that I want to see before I anoint him the ace of the staff is a secondary pitch that is a fantastic put-away pitch. He had it last year. The slider was awesome. The slider had a huge whiff rate. The slider was 40% of his strikeouts. He had that pitch last year. He is heavily reliant on the fastball this year. And the fastball's awesome. So, it works, right? The fastball is beautiful. It moves. It's great. But I don't know if it's that the sliders, that he doesn't have the command, or that because he's dropped in velocity on the fastball and he hasn't on the slider, that there's not enough separation. But that is not getting the whiff rate that he had last year. And of course, it's a relief role, so it's different. but I would like to see it at least start to edge up a little bit. I think it was like last year, it was like 40% of his Ks were from the slider. This year, it's closer to 25%. And I need that to push up a little bit so that I want to talk about his wipeout slider, right? I want to talk about the way that people talk about Lucas Giolito's changeup, where you're like, oh, here it comes, man. This is going to be it. I'm thinking about a scenario where he's facing Aaron Judge and he's got 3-2 count. What is he going to throw to get Aaron Judge out? And I don't know the answer to that question right now. When I know the answer to that question, I will say that he's the ace of this staff. And I'll say that much like if it was Carlos Rodon, I would say he could throw him a slider that he can't touch. And I want to be in that mode with Michael Kopech, and I'm just not there yet this season. I haven't seen it yet in terms of that secondary pitch. But at the end of the day, Michael Kopech's awesome. I love watching the pitch. I'm excited for every time he's going to pitch. I just don't think that he's quite there where I'm going to give him and say this is the ace of my staff.
I think that's a hard call too, and I agree with you, Teresi. And I'm not going to take a step back, but it would be hard to like name him the ace of the staff right now. Like I don't think he's the one that's going to deliver a win every time, but he is definitely outperformed his expectations of what he was. And echoing exactly what you said, he's been awesome, and he is the most exciting one to watch other than Johnny Cueto. Johnny Cueto is really fun to watch too. When that guy's firing all cylinders, that is the funnest thing. I was like high stepping all the way down to the park, like just trying to go as fast as possible. Like I got to see his first pitch. I got to come down here and just watch this. It would be my first game watching Johnny. I was like, I needed to see it. So I thought Alex Rude said something really good. I thought Sammy Davis Jr. talking about how he's in his 20s and pops out a baby every 9 months. That was the fucking hilarious.
I mean, Josh Nelson mentioned how he's in his prime. He's doing prime things right now. Okay, all around.
He's striking guys out.
He's in Evander Holyfield's prime right now.
Yeah, but he's not on the Nick Cannon level.
Like Travis Henry.
Yeah. That's almost untouchable, Josh. That's almost untouchable. It's unheard of.
Nick Cannon's going on Kid 9.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Is he running a cult? Like what's going on, Nick?
Who was it was a football player, not Travis Henry. It's a different
Travis
football
Henry
player.
had like 8 kids.
He did, but there's a football player who like had a bunch of kids with a bunch of different people.
Antonio
And then
Cromartie?
yes, because he had a vasectomy and then he had a kid after the vasectomy.
Yes.
I think just incredibly potent.
I don't think he had the vasectomy.
Incredibly potent. I want to believe it. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
All right.
Phillip Rivers was brought up in the comments section. Phillip Rivers, that was planned. Antonio Cromartie was planning to have 12 kids.
Real quick, MSS, for Johnny Cueto, do you think that he would be even better if they let him come out onto the field just for the first inning on his horse? Like he just gets to take the horse out of the horse, takes a big dump on the mound. Yeah, I mean, like you're out on that beef.
I'll show up after that happens.
Because you're anti-horse.
Because you're anti-horses. I'm not on horses.
Unreal.
His horse could go hang out with all the police horse over there by the fucking park. They could just like shit and eat and drink all sorts of water and whatever.
Everyone's putting guys in the comments. We have a lot of kids. Alex Rude put Senior Socks. Also correct.
Sean Kemp.
All right. So here's something. Beef, you were just on the Sox Machine podcast.
I was.
This is the little wife swap that we're doing here.
Yeah.
And so while you were there, Jim Margulis was talking about one Jake Berger, who we were alluding to earlier. And he said that his season has reminded him a little bit of the 2018 Daniel Palka season. That's the good Daniel Palka season.
That's the good Palka.
The gooder of the two.
Sorry.
And so, it's an interesting comparison. So I want to get some of our thoughts on it. I know, Beef, you and Josh talked about it a little bit on the show. I'd like to hear what My Sox Summer thinks about this, because Daniel Palka, who is possibly My Sox Summer's best friend, is being compared to Jake Berger here.
So I'll just say my initial thoughts. My initial thoughts were, I hope Jake Berger hits 27 home runs. Like I think I'm like, if he can do that, then okay, I'm great with that. But I also know that the limitations that Palka had, and mostly defensively, fielding and all that kind of stuff, like are not gonna like. I don't think are as bad with Jake Berger. I think Jake Berger.
Oh, they are.
Well,
well, they weren't great today. Not great today.
Okay, so I missed whatever part of the game I wasn't at today. I did not see, because when I come home, my kids have to watch their fucking shows, and so I had to watch Gabby's Dollhouse for the 1800th time, and then backed up with a Barbie Takes Two, you know, and it's just like, ah, fuck. So I wasn't watching the game. So at the end, like the end of it, but so anyhow, I think I don't think that Jake Berger is necessarily a defensive specialist, but I think that he has at least a little bit more, like, I think he's a little bit better in that regard.
So I'm not going to disagree with you vehemently there, but he does play a much harder position, I think would be a way to put that. Is that
okay?
He's going to be at the hot corner being not so good, which is a lot more difficult.
We're not putting Jake Berger in right field, though, right? Like, he can't play.
Put him at third base. Third base is a much more difficult, much more difficult position.
Oh, 100%. No, what I'm saying is we couldn't just say, oh, well, you'll just be better. We'll just put you in right field. Like, I don't think in right field either.
Like, no, you can't catch fly balls.
No, I don't think that he's a guy that you could just do that to. And I've always contended from the get-go with Dan Palka, if they just said, hey, just go hit the ball, and they didn't rely on him to play offense, you know, no defense, like, he probably would have been okay, and he probably could have, like, adjusted. But also, I know that some of the pitchers caught up with him, and they knew what to do, but I don't know. When a guy can fucking mash the ball like Dan Palka did that year, you know there's something special. And then the next year, when he hit them 2 fucking home runs in that one game, god damn it, I fucking love that game. Just makes me so happy, just even to remember it. But no, I think Jake Berger is probably a little bit defensively better than Dan Palka. So I think he has a little bit more staying power than the Dan Palka, and it won't be a one-hit thing. I think that Jake Berger also, God, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this against Dan, but I think that Jake might be able to adjust a little better with the pitching, you know, that comes through. Like, he might be able to just modify his game up a little bit. And you know what? And maybe Dan could have done that too if he was given a chance and they weren't like, hey, go play right, motherfucker. You know, like, maybe he could have done that. But I don't know.
See, to me, the major difference in the two, because I like the comparison, right? If I'm thinking about, like, what's going on, like, it's a guy who is bringing power to a lineup starved for it, and you're going to take some of the warts with it because you need it so badly right now. You're gonna say, okay, this is fine. You know, I'm not so concerned about his defense. I'm not so concerned about his strikeouts or the amount of hits he's actually going to get in comparison to, I need some home runs here, right? The difference to me, though, is with Palka, it felt a lot like found money, right? Like, we picked him up off the scrap heap, so it was easy to go, yes, we're getting whatever out of this guy. And then when it fell apart, you were kind of like, okay, well, that was a fun experiment, and it worked for a little bit, and we can just enjoy what we got out of it. Jake Berger, on the other hand, is a first-round pick, right? And Jake Berger, he had his injuries, and we all love the story, but I think that people have a lot more expectation for him. So if he goes the way of a Palka for the rest of the season, where the OBP is low and the batting average is low, but there is the power, I think people are going to be more disappointed with this than they were with Palka, because they have a higher expectation for what Jake Berger could be or should be.
I don't disagree with that thesis, but he stopped being the first round pedigree. I expect everything after the 2 injuries. I think he turned into found money when it was like they didn't even like invite him to the offsite or whatever, and he's playing some fucking independent league. And then next thing you know, he starts hitting, and they're like, oh shit, we'll bring you back. And then when they protect him on the 40 man, I was like, what the hell is going on here? Why are they doing this? And next thing you know, he's in the majors hitting home runs in 2021. It's like, okay, he feels. I agree with you, Treasy. Like, if you step back and look at everything, but I think what's happened, the course of actual real life, he feels like found money right now. I'm happy that he has a first round pedigree to go along with it, though. That is nice.
I think to you, he feels like found money. I think
maybe not to everybody else.
The people that I've seen over the course of the past few years, constantly asking about where this guy is, what position is he going to play? Can he play second base?
Right.
Like that does not feel like someone going like, oh, whatever we get out of this guy. You know, it feels like force him into a position because we need this guy, which is
Right.
different than Palka. Palka was kind of like, all right, yeah, well, no one could play. You know, we don't need a first baseman. Oh, he could play right field. Yeah, whatever.
That's true.
Let's throw him out there, see what happens. We don't have a right fielder.
That's right.
Josh, how do you feel about it?
Just keep hitting, Jake. I'm enjoying the ride with Jake Burger. I don't know what the long-term future holds for Jake Burger with the Chicago White Sox, but it is nice to see someone hitting for power. He's now tied with Jose Abreu for the team lead with 7 home runs. I think he's hit like 4 or 5 home runs now in his last 14, 15 games with the White Sox. So that's nice to see that someone is hitting for power in this lineup. And I think moving forward, I still want to see Jake Burger take over the full-time DH duties over Gavin Sheets. I don't need to see Gavin Sheets.
Oh,
anymore.
baby, you're speaking my language right there.
So
yeah,
I'd rather have Burger. Like, yeah, Makata's better defensively at third. So if Makata plays third base, that does not mean that Jake Burger needs to have the night off. He could be the DH. Now, Tony, DH stands for designated hitter. And hitter is the key word there. Don't automatically put Yasmani Grandal or Gavin Sheets as the DH because we got to play the platoon advantage that doesn't fucking exist with those two guys. So, yeah, that's how I feel right now about Jake Burger. I think Jake Burger should be the DH. Now, the key question, though, is that where is Jake Burger finally going to get his burger? Now, there is a rumor that Chicago Cut will be the place to have the Jake Burger burger. Now, I asked the question to you three. Is that too fancy of a place to have a Jake Burger burger?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Fancy.
You know what? I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is I've not had it, but I've heard from several sources that the Chicago Cut burger is one of the best burgers in the city. It is absolutely fucking terrific. Now, I know it's probably expensive and you go in there at lunch and it's like a bunch. So what? Fucking go in there and indulge with the Jake Burger. I'm fine with it, actually. I don't think it needs to be like a neighborhood place. Let it be at a place like that and let everyone dine on that thing. I don't think it's too fancy. I'm good with it. I actually like that a fancy joint, a hip place like Chicago Cut would do a burger like that for a White Sox player. I feel like we've come of age.
Now, beef. Here's my problem. Here's my problem with it.
Schaefer says, fuck that burger.
It's the accessibility. It's the accessibility of the burger to me, right? Like that.
Okay.
That doesn't seem accessible enough. It doesn't seem like enough of us will get a chance to get to it. I don't mind it being fancy. So let's say a different group did it. Let's say Gibson's did it. And Gibson's did the burger, but it's available at the Shy Sox Bar and Grill at the park.
So never have it. Excellent.
When it's open.
Yeah, when it's
open.
My Sox Summer and I urinated in there last night, so it was open last night.
So did Wally.
Do they still have those maple chicken wings?
I don't know. They weren't in the bathroom while we were pissing. So
they're not. They're not.
Those are good
free
wings
anymore. They're not free anymore, so probably wouldn't get them.
Yeah. I would agree with you guys or disagree. I think it should be a local place. And when I think about burgers, where's the first place I think about? Ballpark Pub. They got great burgers over there. They got that rib meat mixed in with the fucking ground chuck.
No free ads.
That's good stuff.
I was gonna say, is this an ad? Is
No free ads.
Pub now sponsoring this show?
They're not. No
Not
free
yet.
ads, My Sox Summer.
Not yet.
Mute
We'll
him.
see. We'll see. They got good burgers over there. You know what? Richie and Nikki do a good job over there. When we needed a place to go and go do a show, they said, "Get your ass over here. We're fucking hooking you up." And then we watched the playoffs there, and the Sox got demolished. But the conversation couldn't have been better. I'll tell you that. I'll just say that.
The Duck Burger at the Duck Inn.
I was that would be something.
Jack,
I don't know if a duck burger would be.
Sorry,
good,
Jack. We're out on that.
Jack, you gotta. Jack's high. Jack might be high.
He's listening to Jay Giles, man,
Giles,
getting
too much
baked right now.
Too much Jay Giles band up for Jack. Sorry.
But so I talked about the the Shy Sox Bar and Grill, which used to be an entry point to the Sox games. That used to be a little place you could sneak in, go into the game, avoid the lines. My Sox
Not
Summer, you
anymore.
talked a little bit about some lines just recently in a blog, and I want to get into that. So,
Yeah.
you talked about the fact that, look, there's way too long of lines to get in. We saw it yesterday from pictures that on the internet, you guys were there. The lines to get into the 100 level were insane. What's going on here, MSS?
So I when we had the first not the first bobblehead giveaway, but one of the first giveaways was the South Side, the hockey jersey. I walked down to the park. I got there about a half hour, like after gates had opened, because I'm like, this is when the lines have dissipated. Like there is no line anymore. Usually a half hour after the gates have opened. That was not the case walking in, and so I'm like, oh my God, there are people we want this fucking. I wish, Roxy. The people are fucking showing up and showing out for this team. And I'm like, there's just a lot of people. That was my initial thought. Then every other weekend that we've tried to go to a fucking Sox game, there's been a line around the fucking block. Like if there's a giveaway, if there's not a giveaway, getting into the game has just become so cumbersome. It's ridiculous. And it's not just the lines to get into the park, it's the lines to go and park your car. Now, I stopped short of saying that the people that scammed Alley White Sox and those people, like they should run the parking because they might be a little bit better at getting people into the parking spot. I didn't want to say that, but they might do a better job. We need some outside sources to come in and maybe fix this line problem. I have talked to people. There are people that have sent me emails. There's people that sent me DMs, and they said, listen, and I know I can't say who they are. I'm not even going to allude to who they work for. But they said it's just getting worse and worse by the year. Because when I would approach a topic with some people sometimes, they will say, well, so-and-so said that, oh, this is the problem, or this is what happens. And I don't think that the Sox put enough faith in these workers, and a lot of them are seasonal, but a lot of them have worked there for 20 some years, 15 years, 5 years, whatever. You need to get on these guys, is like talk to them and find out what you think is going to work, because right now it's not working. The line to get into the Cubs game, when you stole standing room only tickets at $80 a pop, people are waiting 30 to 40 minutes to get into the park after you said, you know what? Capacity? Fuck you, capacity. We're going to go over capacity, and we're going to cash in. I'm 100% about the White Sox cashing in. Don't get me wrong. I want them to cash in. I want them to make as much fucking money as possible. But if you don't provide service to these people and get them in a timely fashion, they are not spending money. Why would I spend any extra money when I had to wait 35 minutes to park my fucking car after I paid on Ticketmaster for parking? Like, I mean, it makes no goddamn sense. Now, last year, I said in the blog, last year I was understanding because we were in uneasy times. We didn't know that the Sox were going to take off and people were going to come in. But like they struggled with 8,000 people at the gate, like when we were under low capacity, because they never overshoot anything. They're like, let's just hire the right amount of people to maybe potentially get these people in quickly. It has not happened so far. So I hope, for all that's holy, just give these guys some more money. Let them like maybe step it up a little bit and move this like forward, because this is embarrassing. Wrigley does fine. Other stadiums that have 20, 30,000 people at every fucking game get people in. I've never experienced a bad problem other than Miller Park after our tailgate. And the people at the Miller said, you guys tailgated too long. That's why it's taking forever to get in. I was like, that doesn't make no sense. Like, I mean, I'm drunk, but that still doesn't make any sense. I'm coming late and now that's a problem? Like, no.
So I actually, at Miller Park, though, I believe the gates, because we went by the gate. We eventually walked past the gate that we were trying to get in initially, and there was like a actual malfunction of stuff at that gate. So if you went around, you got right in.
We got in quick after we.
Yeah, so it was just that one gate that had kind of like bunched up and everything, and that sucked, and it was way too hot to deal with that. Again, though, similarly though, you wrote that blog, you put it out there, and I saw a ton of people responding to you with, "Oh, you know what? I went to this park, and here's what they did, and it was great." And it was like every park, and they are all the same things. It's all the same.
Right.
Like there's not
Obvious
like a
shit.
secret sauce. It was just like everyone did the same kind of things. Like, oh yeah, they had a season ticket holder line. They had a line for just bags, and they had a lot of signs saying, "Go over here if you have a bag. You go in this way. Go over here if you don't. Go over here if you're a season ticket holder." Very simple stuff. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about what you think the Sox could do. What do you think they will do? And what's the path going forward? And Josh, you seem to be
he's itching.
dismissive of the Sox doing something. So let me hear what you have to say.
In order for me to get through the line this season, I spent an extra $1,000 on top of our full season ticket plan to get stadium club passes because that's the cheat. And I am sharing this cheat to the masses because not everyone's got $1,000 to throw down to buy stadium club passes. I only have 2 season tickets. They gave me 4 stadium club passes. Does that matter? No, it doesn't matter to the White Sox because they got $1,000 from me. And I am spending that extra grand to cut the line for the games that I'm going to. The White Sox know this. So why would they get rid of that? If they gave us a dedicated entrance for full season ticket holders, they lose out on the money from the stadium club passes. So this is just like the Tony the Russa bullshit. They're not going to do anything about this at all. Even though they keep hearing this, they know the number one thing in the surveys they sent out to fans, the biggest complaint is parking and how much it sucks to park at Guarantee Rate Field, and that doesn't make any sense. And the number 2 thing is going to be security. They will always use the excuse, we are in the south side of Chicago, so we have to be extra careful and extra diligent to make sure nobody brings anything dangerous through the gates.
We went to Detroit, man. We went to Detroit, and it was fine.
That's right, Treason. We're in Detroit.
Detroit was fine.
Texas didn't even check me.
Just walk right in.
I just walked right in. I'm like, oh, you guys, I had things in my pockets. Oh, you're fine.
He's white. He has a beard. Come on in. You're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
You like barbecue?
Thanks,
yeah. Come in.
Josh, you mentioned that, I'm sure there's a number of people that go in through or get the stadium club passes. I know I have them as well for the exact same reason. Let's say, I don't know how many of those they actually sell because they can't sell too many of them. Like they can't sell a lot of them. Let's say they sell 1,000 of those packages. What's that? Like that's about $1 million that they would make
maybe. Yeah.
From that.
Yeah.
But like, if you let in 100 people every game 30 minutes earlier, you'd make way more than that.
Well, that exactly.
Yes, you're right. You would make more money if people entered your stadium faster. But what I could see the White Sox doing, and they already did this with the parking lots. Here's their genius idea: we're going to dedicate gates based on where you're sitting in the stadium.
Oh, that was a disaster. That was a disaster during the COVID year.
Yes, I know it
was terrible.
But that's part of their game plan. They got a playbook. We're like, all right, let's go back to that.
It wouldn't be so. Here's where they dropped the ball. And Loaf, I'm sorry if I like shut you out of saying.
Go for it, baby. No, I got ideas that you're not going to mention. Don't worry.
What I like get upset about is like, hey, we're going to do this idea, or this is what we're going to do. We're going to change it. Okay, gate 3 is only going to be for these people. But then they don't communicate that to anybody, and there's nobody out in the lot telling you, "Hey, you're gate 6, or you're such and such, whatever. Go to gate 6, or go to gate 5, or go to this, or go to that." There's no one communicating that to you. Like people are like, "Okay, well, you could put signs up and say bags here, this here, that's here." They don't do any of that. But you know what they do have? About 15 fucking supervisors inside the stadium watching all the people working. Those motherfuckers, and like, I know, listen, you're not getting paid a lot, and I know that it sucks, but like, get your ass out there and start directing some people where to go. I walked up to gate 5 today. And like Gabe, I saw him in the comments. He's like, go to 5, go to 3. I went to gate 5 today. There was 5 to 7 Dodger fans standing in front of a place to go in, drinking their beers, finishing their beers. I need a security guy to go up and say, hey, you assholes, get the fuck out of here. Go drink your beer over there, and then let people get in and then get back in fucking line so you can go through. I was like, why is this taking forever? There was no reason for it. And so on Tuesday, walking into gate 3, because that's usually where I go, I walk into gate 3. I'm like, okay, this wasn't so bad getting in. I'm walking in with Derek from the MTV Challenge. If you guys are into that kind of shit, he was a very nice guy, very cool. It just happened to be on Dog Walk with our buddy Eddie Barstool. I should have dropped the Eddie. He goes to me, he goes, what do you do? I go, oh, I'm a podcast guy, dude, blah, 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 whatever. And I should have been like, yeah, we're friends with, Barstool Sports or whatever. And we would have had a really different conversation. But I didn't drop that. But I'm walking in and I'm like, hey, this wasn't so bad. We get up, we go up. Fucking the goddamn line. I'm glad somebody took a picture of it, Cheesy, because there was 150 people deep trying to get to the 100 level. Walk in today, nobody checking tickets at the 100 level. Like there is absolutely no consistency with these things. Like
that's actually a good idea. Glad they did that. Let everyone go.
They should take those people that they have at those and put them downstairs to check tickets. Yeah. Like open up more gates and check tickets.
It's just everyone's got to open their phone up, and then everyone's got to like go to the thing, and like it's so fucking annoying, and it's just like, you know what? Let it be a free for all. Maybe you don't fucking limit these people, but I also don't know if I want 25,000 people on the lower level sitting in my seat every fucking game, and I have to tell them to move, and it might be Jim Bob from fucking Peoria, and he's like, no, I'm not fucking moving, and then I got to go get fucking security to be like, tell this guy to get the fuck out of my seat.
I've never had that situation where someone wouldn't get out of it.
It's because they limit those people to the 500 level. Treasy, Pat, we don't know.
You're one of those people. Don't say those people.
Use my government name? How dare you, motherfucker?
No, I honestly, I think there's a lot of ways to solve this. And Beef, here's something that we had talked about previously, is that they underutilize gate 1. Gate 1,
100%. They should open gate 1 all the time.
How many people have ever,
even went in gate 1?
Have ever gone in gate 1? And so gate 1.
That was one of my ideas. Open gate 1 all the time. Even if you only put 1 or 2 people there attendance, let it be open. And if it's like a secret and only people who know about gate 1 get in there, great. You'll get those people in a lot faster, and they won't be in the other fucking lines. I love that idea, Treasy.
That's where the patio party, like if you're going for patio party, that's where you go in. But all those people are there way early, right? Yeah. Like, so they're already in. So that is where you should say, season ticket holders, you have a dedicated gate. It's gate 1.
Gate 1.
If you want to use it. Yep. And gate 1 could be your place to go, and you just always go there. It's very convenient for us, but it's still a convenience if that's the gate that you want to open up.
Yeah.
Another thing to do is, and they used to do this, I don't know if they still do this, but they got to make it more known if they do, is they used to have food deals early. Like if you were at the game an hour before the game, you could get like, I don't know if they had dollar dogs, but it was like half price dogs maybe, and there was some half price, like obviously not beer or anything. That would be awesome. But then you get back into the Leguiz situation. So you get
it's worth the risk.
You get like some half price food or something to get in there early to encourage people to come into the park. And if you're doing it that way, you're also making money because you're still having them spend money on the food, right? Like. And they're choosing to eat there instead of somewhere else because it's roughly the same price, but you get in the park earlier. You get to see, some of the pregame festivities. There's things to do similar to that where you could say, let's get more people in the park in a more spread out time frame.
Yeah, I totally agree with those ideas. I mean, to add on a couple to yours, Treasy, because I'm in your wavelength there because I was thinking open gate 1. Another real easy idea, just put LED screens up all over the place with expected times for each gate. This way, someone walking up could say, oh, gate 2 is only a 5-minute wait, whereas, gate 3 is a 20-minute wait or whatever the fuck amount of time. It doesn't take a lot of work to monitor like expected time to go in there to usher the people to there was a game recently where I saw someone standing out there right at 35th Street pushing people to gate 5 because like gate 3 there's a lot of people go to gate 5. Yeah, just do that with LED screens. Don't even put a person out there. You can just have someone monitoring it and put it up on the board every couple minutes, make an update and say, okay, this is the gate with light traffic. You mentioned gate 1. The other thing they're way underutilizing is lot L. Okay, you guys don't even know where parking lot L is. It butts up to Pershing. Okay, put that up there, make that a cash only lot and an easy out lot, and have them block the fucking street when the game ends and let people get out of there in a heartbeat. You'd fill that lot up, no problem. It wouldn't block up any of the traffic around the ballpark, and you'd get a lot of people in there parked easily. And if you leave it cash, anyone can go there. Like, make it easy on some people to get to the ballpark. What they're doing is deterring people. I was thinking about this after your article, My Section. I was thinking, how many people went to the game, had a frustrating time doing all this stuff, and was like, fuck it, I'm not going to any more games. Like, think about if you went to a play or something like that, or something you don't normally do, and you're like, that really sucked, I'm never going back. It's easy for us, we're season ticket holders. We're going to go, even if it's shitty and we have to wait in line, we're like, wow, fuck, that sucked. And we'll make fun of it on Twitter and everything. We're still going to go to the game. The average person that they're trying to get in there, the casual fan, they're fucking them constantly, and they're not going to come back. Why would you come back? You'd go to the other ballpark. It's like, I just want to go to a game. I can get in Wrigley Field in 2 seconds. It takes an hour to get into Sox Park. Why would you do it,
We have an unfair advantage is where we don't have to worry about parking. Like, that's something that doesn't bother us. Like, the light and getting in and out of the park is the only thing we really have to deal with. And so it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I was talking to somebody today, and they were talking about maybe how much they sell beer for at the park and maybe how much they pay for that beer at the park. And if you got into the game in a very timely fashion, if you parked, if your first 2 experiences, like I said in the blog, were very positive, if you parked well, you got your ass in there, how much more likely are you to buy that beer? You might drink 3 more beers. If you're pissed off when you get in there, which I was pissed, like the other day, and I'm there all the time. I was like, what the fuck? Why is this taking so long? Why are they still checking tickets? Like, I'm not going to buy as many beers. Like, and especially if I'm a casual guy, I'd be like, there's no way I'm giving these people more money. They're going for a money grab, and they're not delivering any service to me. So why am I going to have to pay that? Like, it's just ridiculous. Yeah.
I'm just going to keep nodding my head because
that's awesome.
Because every idea is like, yes, these are obvious things they could do.
I mean,
it's not taking a lot of brain power to figure all these out.
It's obvious, and it has something to do. I mean, you can tie it in with the team too. It's just like there's people at the top that are making decisions that just need to like go away, like, or change their mind or do something different, because it's just an old adage. Your adage about the stadium club. It's like, oh no, we need to pander to these ultra rich people so they can come into here and have some fucking steamed asparagus with lemon brisk before they go in to a baseball game. No, the fuck we don't. We need a guy that was going to come in and purchase 10 beers that you probably spent, I don't know, $5 on in cost for fucking $10 a piece. You're going to make way more money on that. You're going to make way more money on the bullshit popcorn, way more money on all this stuff. You're like, you don't need something fancy. You need something fucking run of the mill, and you're going to make a mint. And then if you want to have something fancy, you have a whole fucking level. It's called the 300 level. It's called club level. You fucking show up. You fucking overpay for all your shit. You have your, whatever bullshit beef.
The champagne room.
Yes. I mean, my God, like, you don't need, it just makes so much more sense just to like cater to a common fan versus the elevated fan and build your and it feels like you build your whole market on it, because the common or the fucking fancy fans don't enter through the regular gates. They go through gate fucking 4 behind home plate or whatever. Is it gate 4? Yes, gate 4 behind home plate.
4.
Where you have to have special credentials to get through the fucking gate. Like, I mean, my God, it's very weird. It's very different.
So Guaranteed Rate Field only has 3 gates: 2, 3, and 5.
2, 3, and 5.
Yep.
That's it. And they have
Yeah,
gate 1,
four is
which is
four is for the fancy fan, and one exists,
one,
but they don't.
One
use
exists and is open, but you can't go to it.
it. That's right.
So
Unless
like
you
if
go
you
to a
have,
patio party.
if you have the patio,
Right.
you could go to it, and then the rest of the time it's open but actually closed, which is ridiculous.
So those lucky 1,000 people every game, they get in there real nice and fast early.
Yep. So again,
All right.
$1,000 for stadium club passes is the line hack to
The
to
old
get
line
through
hack
quickly.
was a lot better. You'd go into Bacardi at the park, and then you just make a quick left, and there would be a guy at the door going, "Oh, you gotta check your ticket here," and then you just go right through.
Yep.
Was the best hack. They got rid of it. They could just reopen that. Like, it's so easy to just reopen that and go like, okay, well, we'll put a security guard here too. He'll pat you down, and then you go through.
The thing
I'll take a
about
pat down.
lines,
Take a nice
people-
pat down.
The thing about lines and the visual is that someone always looks at it as a positive, and they'll say, "Look at all this demand we have."
Right. Exactly.
The problem is those lines equate to, in the first 3 innings, the stadium's half filled.
Yeah.
And it looks
Well, they
terrible
showed
on
up
television.
90 minutes before first pitch. They got into the stadium.
The thing is, Josh, some of them do. That's the most insane.
They're in
part
the
about
line to
it.
park 90 minutes before the game.
That's what, like, I would say I would totally agree with that, but it's like it's far beyond that now. You
Yeah,
can't
I
say,
know.
"Oh,
I'm
it's
just
the
I'm
fan."
trying to be funny.
I
but
know,
it's
I
not
know.
clever.
But I'm just saying
Well-
you can't say, "Oh, well, you just got to show up earlier," because people are, and they're still not getting in.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
it's ridiculous.
Now that we got My Sox Summer all fired up, I'm going to make them
Oh,
even more
hate
pissed
it.
off by running
Hate this.
an old ad read.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us on a live stream right now and haven't subscribed, make sure you tickle the undercarriage of that subscribe button and get on board. If you've already subscribed and are watching the show, talking smack about MSS's internet and generally meat gazing at Treasy E and I, please smash that like button in the face. If you are listening on the podcast feed and have never enjoyed the eroticism that is the YouTube version of this show, come to youtube.com/FromThe108 and hit that subscribe button. Our previous goal was 1,000 subscribers. We're currently at 1,100 plus. That's going to allow us to make minimum wage for about 1 hour per month if we do a full podcast schedule. You just can't beat that. So get your friends, your family, your dog, everyone to subscribe and allow the 108 to fulfill the dream of becoming YouTube thousandaires. I love you. Now that's spirited right there. I
love
My
you
Sox
too,
Summer
Papa.
left.
he left. Dude, my Sox Summer's out here.
He gave up. He gave up.
The gate talk's getting out of hand. Gate 69, we would open that up. Absolutely.
Oh, my
and also
goodness.
gate 83 should be open as well. I agree with that.
I mean, they should also let us drop in like the Flying Elvis.
Yeah, if we want to. Well, I'm afraid of heights, so I'll pass.
They should just have a peasant line, an escalator straight to the 500 level.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what they want, right? I mean, like, that's don't you
What
dare
NFL
come downstairs.
The Dolphins had that. The Miami Dolphins had this huge escalator in their old stadium.
really?
And it would just take you directly to the upper deck.
It's ridiculous.
All right, Josh, Beef, you guys went to Vegas.
Fucking right we did, baby. There it is. Look at that. He's got some chippage.
I want the lowdown. I want the lowdown on this trip. I've gotten some bits and pieces. I want to hear about Vegas. We'll start with you, Josh. Just general thoughts on Vegas, as this was your first trip.
It was. And a little bit of a backstory. I have this thing with my buddies every year. We call it Dude's Trip. And what the purpose of the weekend is to escape from our significant others and significant responsibilities and just be dudes. And it's been a democratic process for the first 4 trips in which we all submit destinations that we want to go to. And then we vote on it, on where our final destination would be. So we've been to Denver, Portland, Austin, for example. But we promised that if we got to the 5th one, and our significant others didn't divorce us, and we weren't in financial ruin, we would go to Las Vegas for Dude's Trip 5. So that's why I was in Las Vegas and I invited Chirizi and Beefloaf to come with. I was just not that confident that my Sox summer would have gotten permission to escape his significant responsibilities to join us in Vegas. But he's going to be invited to Dude Strip 6. But my takeaways for Vegas: 1, I'm hooked. I'm sold. I'm already trying to think of excuses how I could get back to Las Vegas. It was an absolute blast. And I think, be part of this group of friends and this group of people helps elevate the experience. But I had a blast. Circa lives up to the hype. If you are big into sports betting or sports watching, you have to visit Circa. The sports book, the amphitheater is phenomenal. Being at the Circa Swim, getting a cabana for 6 hours Friday night and watching all the baseball games was an amazing experience. Had a lot of fun in the Aria. We'll get into that in a moment. Fremont Street experience. Way too many kids. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a PSA.
Yes.
Your 3-year-old should not be going down Fremont Street. If you have to transport your children in strollers, no, Las Vegas is already a terrible idea. Fremont Street compounds that terrible idea to possibly scarring and forever damaging your children. Way too many kids on Fremont Street. Way too many kids. I got overwhelmed at the Venetian. The Venetian was the hotel that it's like, oh, this is very Vegas, and this is too much. We recorded out of the Wynn. The Wynn is maybe the most beautiful hotel I've ever been to. But the crazy Vegas story is that we went on a run at the Pai Gow table, so everyone drink, at the Aria, in which we played 7 straight hours at the Pai Gow table. And I still don't think I physically recovered from that session. I've been tired all week since I got home. But that was the Vegas trip. Had a lot of fun. Made some money. Can't wait to go back.
Beef, I was thinking about that 7-hour Pai Gow game that you guys played. And I was like, man, obviously I wish I could have been there with you guys. But if I were there, how many times would you have had to wake me up during that 7 hours?
So I let the table know about your Pai Gow session at the Plaza back in the day when we had been out all day and doing it, and then you sat down at the table and you set your hand wrong, and the dealer yelled at you, and then you're like, I'm fine, and then the very next hand you set your hand wrong, you're like, all right, see you later, and just left. So I assume it would have been something like that, maybe.
The old you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. That's how I play in Vegas, but it's just when I can't physically work my mind anymore. I'm just like, all right, I don't know what's going on anymore, so I should probably cash in my chips. This is time to go.
You have a long session like that. I was trying to think about it, Treasy. We've been going to Vegas for 20 years, and I've been trying to think of I've never been at a session that long. We've had some long sessions, places, various games, but the combination you need is vague enough cards. You don't want to get so far ahead. If you get really far ahead, then you're kind of like, okay, I'm just going to take my profits off the table, right? You need to kind of stay a little bit above or a little bit below. And you need absolutely terrific dealers. If the dealers are awesome and you're having a lot of fun messing with them and going back and forth, you can do it. And we got the perfect storm. We had our main dealer and then the relief dealer were both awesome. And we had enough of it where it was we were sweating bets all the time. Someone would always have a hand where they're going to be squeezing out something and we're trying to see if they can win or whatever. So we had the perfect storm of it. I'll be honest with you. I'll be 44 in 2 weeks. I am not prepared to be out till 4 a.m. anymore. Okay. I was not, and I'm walking back from the bathroom. I don't even know what time it is. And there's prostitutes, I'm not saying anything against prostitutes, but they were like, hey baby, how you doing? I'm like, whoa, I'm not I'm not doing like that right now. I'm gonna go back to the table. It was getting that late in the night.
Give me a couple hours. Give me a couple hours. I'll be
Let's see what money I got left from the table. I had none, so that was it.
So to build my stack though for Pai Gow to play 7 hours, we went to the craps table. So shocker, the craps table is completely empty. 25 minimum. So we go up to the craps table, and it's my buddy Tim and I. and you were just playing pass line odds, and he hits a couple points. All right, we've won some money. In the middle of his roll, in the middle of his point, people are buying into the game. Now, I have been told that is poor etiquette. Tim is making it very known to the other side of the table of how poor etiquette this is. And he's making the known, like trying to make him feel guilty. Like, I can't believe you guys are buying into this right now. Like, the points on the board, this is terrible etiquette. You have completely ruined my rhythm. Rolls a 7, everyone loses their money. And he's like, you know what? That's what you all deserve. He screaming at the other side of the table.
I thought we were gonna have to throw hands with these guys. I kid you not, Treasy. I thought, all right, shit's about to go down right now.
Next roller comes in, hits 3 points in a row. And we're not talking 6s and 8s because that's what Beefloaf was betting and he was winning no money. He's hitting 4s and 9s. All of a sudden, he becomes our best friend. In which Tim does the whole Dumb and Dumber. I thought you guys could be any dumber, and you totally redeem yourself by hitting all of these points. So yeah, we made a quick friend, and then he rolled a 7, and then he was dead to us. So we went to the icon table.
Treasy, there is nothing worse than being a guy who rolls up on this right there and it's like, I'm not going to bet the pass line. I'll let this guy make a couple. And then, like, I'm feeling good about myself. Guy's point is a 4. I'm like, oh, fuck that. I got 6 and 8 or whatever. He don't hit no 6 and 8s. He fucking makes his 4. Then he makes his 10 or whatever. I'm like, and these dudes are, like, raking big money out. And I'm like, I ain't got shit. And I ain't hit nothing. And then he 7s out. I lose my money. It's like, damn it, man. There's nothing worse than being that guy at the craps table. Everyone won except for your dumb ass. Even though you were on the right side, you just didn't put the bet out there you should have. Like, nothing worse than that.
You dumb.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I've never had sessions like that in Vegas because I'm not a big gambler, as everybody knows. But I'm just not a gambling type of guy. But I have had several drinking sessions that have gone on for much more than 7 hours in Vegas. And I could only imagine if I could sit in a pool and watch sporting events in a pool, I would be a big prune by the time I walked out of that pool because I would love that. That would be something that I would be totally into. Like I've spent hours upon hours in Vegas pools with no sporting event watching, only watching women. But I would definitely like a sporting event when all the women that maybe I don't want to look at come through the track. Or
you would have been a big fan of Drew, our cabana server. She did a very good job.
Yeah.
Good job, Drew.
Yeah, you would have been down with that. The circuit pool was absolutely amazing. Like we go up there. I told Treasy, I was like, I only had one concern when we went up there. We're going up there for the evening session, so it's a 5 to 11. We got cabana, and I told Josh when we got out there, I said, this is such a great idea. Because I am cabana years old when I go to the pool. I like to have a cabana. If we can have a cabana, I like to have the area where to put our stuff and lounge or whatever. But we're going up there, and they got an escalator that's got to be 2 to 3 stories high. And all I'm thinking the entire time we're going up it is like, when I leave here, I'm for sure going to be shit-faced. I hope I don't face plant on this escalator, because blood will be at my nose will explode, blood will be everywhere. But my Sox summer, the experience out there is tremendous. Like having all the games going and everything. If you wanted to, there was betting windows out there. There was table games out there if we wanted to play. We didn't do any of that. We were just drinking and watching some of the games and just hanging out in the pool. But and I even heard Josh's buddy Tim, who went out there for March Madness, said they heat that pool for March Madness. So you go out there for March Madness, heated fucking pool, go out there and watch all the basketball games. It was just a tremendous scene. And it was like, this time of year in Vegas, it's 95 degrees at 9 o'clock. So even when the sun's starting to go down, it's still plenty fine to get in the pool. Still plenty of fine to be hanging out. So I really enjoyed the hell out of that.
Now, do they have a swim up betting window? Because that would be even the best.
I don't think they do.
And that would have been the best. That's the next level. That's next level. But again, you brought up something that I wish our Sox would do. They have a heated pool. And probably most days that doesn't pay for itself, right? It doesn't work. But the months the days that it does, it pays for the entire season. Probably opening weekend of March Madness pays to heat that pool all year. They don't give a fuck. They're not you know what? we shouldn't heat the pool because blah, blah, blah. We should save a couple dollars. No, don't do that. Fucking heat that motherfucker because these motherfuckers will show up in March and pay for the whole thing.
The Cabana minimum for March Madness was $4,000.
Slightly above what we paid.
Not shocking.
We spent $1,300.
But that was across 8 guys.
It's totally reasonable.
Yeah. 8 guys. We
It
all
didn't
got
even seem
drunk.
fair, Treasy. It was like
we
we
that
ate
at the Sox game.
Wait a second.
We ate, we drank. I was annihilated when I left there. So like, we ate and drank enough. I was like, damn, man, and that's it. That's it for us, and we got to experience all this stuff. And like, almost all the games. They have almost all the games going. The main TV at the time was the hockey playoff game. So it's like whatever the biggest game going on is going in the middle, and then you got all the other games on the side. So we're watching Sox too. So man, it was absolutely tremendous. I would love to do that again. And downtown too, like, doesn't have the kind of pool action. Golden Nuggets got decent pool, but Circa's the spot downtown. There's no question.
Nice.
Can't wait to get out there myself. That's gonna be it's gonna be quite the time. Well, one thing that you guys did while you were out there was record a podcast. And Beef, your shirt was fucking electric. I gotta tell you, I've been to Vegas with you many a time. I know your Frank Costanza Cabana wear. I was psyched to see it on the Sox Machine podcast. Josh, tell us how this even came about.
So we are part of the Blue Wire podcast network, and Blue Wire and the Win came to a 3-year agreement. And to announce that agreement, the Win's like, we'll build you a podcast studio. So right next to the buffet at the Win, so high traffic, they have this podcast studio. So one idea that I have to give us an excuse to get to Vegas is that when we make our season predictions for 2023, we go to Vegas, we record that show in that studio, because then it's a business trip and we can write off our transportation and our lodging at least.
And then we go bet those things at the book right afterwards. Go bet them right at the book right afterwards.
Yeah, that should be a tax write-off, right? You're an accountant. You can make that happen.
That's absolutely correct. You got that right.
Wasn't this already a tax write-off, Josh? I thought that's why you recorded a podcast. I was like, this is Josh's genius coming through. Like, he's going to record a podcast. This is going right to the Sox Machine, budget line.
Yeah, but I wasn't that smart because I stayed at the Plaza, and if I stayed at the Win, I think that would be more believable, right? The staying at a different hotel, it just wouldn't work out. So if I do that, I may stay at the Win. Pull some streams, maybe get a discount because the Win is very nice and also very expensive. You can smell the pretentious perfume as you step into the hotel. Like,
I am not gonna lie,
I even belong here.
That was the Gilf spot, boys. The Gilfs were all over the place. I even leaned over to Josh. I said, "Man, there's a lot of nice looking older women like our age or older around here." And he's not overt like me with the Gilfs, but he gave me a little head nod, like, yeah, he approved, but he wasn't in on it. But I was kind of craning my neck a little bit. Good thing my wife. My wife does listen to this podcast. Okay, never mind. Forget all that.
It's cougars, right? You're talking more cougars than you're talking gilfs, though. You got like older ladies looking to land some guy because your $30 table minimums or whatever out there at the Win. Like,
well,
you don't.
Same difference.
Cheap dudes.
Yeah, same difference. Whatever. I mean, at the age we're at. I mean, I'll be 44. I mean, nice looking 50-ish year old woman. Either way, same shit.
Exactly, Shy Sox Anthony. Gilfs our age? I'm like, no, there's no Gilfs that are 44. Those
Whoa.
territory.
Hey, wait a second. Are you saying then that our guy Wally Money is not a Gilf?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's a big insult.
I can't believe you say that about Wally.
He's not a Gilf to me because I would not like to fuck him. So yes, I'm
not
saying
to you.
Not. So
Taco Daddy is correct. 44 with ear hair, that is Gilf.
It's not a Gilf. We shouldn't be grandparents.
But Treasy, the Blue Wire studios were absolutely awesome. And like when so Josh got up there early and he's like, I just want to get there early, get the lay of the land, all this stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I come up there a little bit earlier too. I'm not gonna get up there quite as early as you do. So I roll up. I see him, whatever. And, I had the cabana wear on, but he didn't have the look of disappointment in his face that he has look up for My Sox Summer when he curses on the Sox Machine podcast. He looked at me like he was cool with the cabana wear. So it's like, all right, I'm feeling confident, I'm feeling good. We go in there and it's like, it is legit nicest studio I've ever been in, at least. And I'm an amateur at this, you know. Boys, we got a chance to do Redline Radio. Barstool Studio is very nice, but this was nicer. This studio was nicer, and it is nice. Like there's something really fun about like there's producers. Like, dude, I'm just gonna sit down here, put this shit on, and emote. And they're going to fix everything for us instead of like the DIY stuff we normally do. It's like, all right, you got to do this and that or whatever. And it's like, no, this is just chill. And Josh had a handle on. Josh had like he'd been doing this for 20 years with the producers. He's like, oh yeah, do this, whatever. And I'm like, dude, and they had cameras in there. And I'm like, what the fuck camera do I look at when I have to talk? Josh is like, don't worry about it. Just do what you normally do. Look at me or whatever the fuck, and it'll be fine. That's how I was like Ricky Bobby getting interviewed, and Josh is like, just chill, baby. Just chill. Don't worry about it.
They'll find you. They'll find your eyes.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, but we got to get back there. So, Dude's Trip 6 is going to be my bachelor party at a undisclosed location right now because we haven't decided yet. But for all those that are listening or watching right now, I highly recommend doing these types of trips with your friends because as we get older, and yeah, kids get older too, so it may be a little bit easier if you're an empty nester. But I've just found like it's always nice to have these types of weekends that you can look forward to in a calendar year and plan to just be goofy. And even for the girls in the chat, like our significant others have girls trip that they go and they just spend a weekend away from us. That I find it to be very healthy and therapeutic. So Vegas was an absolute blast. I can't wait to go back. I just got to find the excuse to go back. And now the next step is understanding how to get comped rooms like you guys. So then I can be a real veteran.
So hey,
we'll let you in on those secrets.
We'll figure that out very soon because we got to make a trip to Indiana. At least 3 of us. We'll see if My Sox Summer will come with because I missed out. I missed out, man. I gotta get down at the one of these Hammond joints. Casinos, not something else.
Glad you clarified. That was
I gotta
really
wait
nice to clarify.
Bernsey, log off. I'll tell what I was really going to say. So that's what we wanted to talk about tonight. And Josh, I want to thank you for coming on and joining us, man. I know you've been on all day, kind of. So I'm gonna let you go. I really appreciate you jumping on. A lot of good talk up at top about TLR, but I had a lot more fun talking about the fun stuff like lines at Comiskey and the Vegas trip. So we'll talk to you soon, man. Peace. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
All right, fellas, it's about that time for thank yous. Before we do the thank yous, I'm just going to want to mention that if you are listening on the audio version of this podcast, there's more for you. I don't know if you guys in the comments know this, but the audio version goes longer than this version. We do a little bit extra afterwards, so we'll be doing that shortly. But before that, let's give some thank yous here. My Sox Summer, who do you want to thank?
This week, I want to thank our ticket rep, Nick Capitan. He is probably he's a success story because when he started out with us, he was not the best ticket rep that we've ever met, but he became the best ticket rep that we know. He is the ticket rep to the Stars. Shane Reardon is also, he has him under his belt. He has a lot of people there, and he has just been, he was amazing this week. I proposed a question, and he came through way over the top. So my shout out is to Nick. Also shout out to Southpaw for hooking me up with these Kids Club bobbleheads. This is my little thing here. His birthday's this weekend. He's going to turn 18. They're giving away his Hall of Fame bobblehead. So if you have kids, you take them to the park. You can get a mini Southpaw bobblehead. One sold on eBay for $122, and then I saw one for $30. So you can get them cheap, but you know what? Go to the game, take your kids up there. They get to go see it. They get these fancy little bobbleheads. Shout out to Nick and shout out to Southpaw. Happy birthday, bro.
Nice. Beef, who do you got to thank?
Before my thank yous, Treasy, all I can think is Southpaw's turning 18. He's going to get drafted into the military and killed by friendly fire like Pat Tillman.
Oh my God.
It's like we gotta protect Southpaw. Maybe Southpaw's a bum knee and he cannot get drafted into the military. We have to figure this out. I'm really concerned right now. All right,
We'll do the Jim Morrison. We will find all kinds of different drugs. We'll do them all with Southpaw right before he goes in there. They will not take him.
They will not draft him. I love that. Okay, we'll protect him that way. No, my thank yous this week are to Steve Stone for reminding me to enjoy the ride, and also for Billy Wires for taking an unintentionally hilarious pic with Gabe, where half of his gut is hanging out, and I was able to repost that on Twitter. So two great joys for me this week.
Billy exposed himself on that one. I enjoy it.
Classic Belly right there. How about you, Treasy? Who you got to thank?
Well, as you guys know, I've been a little bit under the weather, so I want to thank all the people that checked in with me. It was appreciated. I didn't think that people would really give a shit that I was sick, to be honest. But a bunch of people, of course. Obviously, Cornsy's been keeping the house from falling apart while I'm destroying a single room of it right now. But yeah, Yump, Aloha Mr. Hand, Taco Gladiator, all you guys that have checked in and said, like, how you doing? Just, it means a lot. I appreciate it. And I'm doing good. I think I will hopefully be available for the Sunday Soak this week. I think that's the goal. I will be in the Sunday Soak this weekend. At this moment, that's the goal. So hopefully I'll see you guys up at the park soon, and we'll chat then. See you guys later.
Peace.
I should put the outro, huh?
Ha 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 ha!